As a gig worker, whether you're doing rideshare for Uber or Lyft, or better yet, food deliveries for companies like Uber Eats, DoorDash, Grubhub, you name it, one question has to be asked. Does someone know your whereabouts at all times? Is there a close family member or friend that can literally track you in real time? Unfortunately, we got to discuss this because drivers are coming up missing. What up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim with another ride sharing video. Right off the bat, Chicago police are seeking the public's help on locating a missing DoorDash driver. And this is not the only one. The second story gets only worse than the first. According to police, 24-year-old Elijah Okanola frequents Hyde Park and downtown the Loop area. Now, I'm quite familiar with that area on the near south side of Chicago. This is a DoorDash driver, went out to make some food deliveries, has not been seen since. Okanola is described as 5 feet 6 inches tall, weighing about 140 pounds with brown eyes and black hair. He was last seen wearing a thin black jacket, blue jeans, and white gym shoes. Sounds like the standard black guy on the south side of Chicago. 145 pounds, or 140 pounds at 5'6". So this is a small gentleman, 24 years of age. The name certainly sounds a bit foreign, maybe an immigrant or first or second generation, but nevertheless, none of that matters. This individual is missing. Chicago police would like to hear from you if you've seen him. He was last seen driving a gray 2008 Honda Accord with Illinois license plate Alpha Hotel 86525. So we're going to ask that question right off. Is there anyone, family member, close associate, someone close to you that can track your whereabouts in real time? Know where you are at all time. I'm going to tell you how important this is, or may become if something happens to you with the story of this next driver, where someone may need to get tabs on your location to simply look for you. This guy, the last guy you've seen has been missing very recent, but this one gets worse. Ernest Anderson, 39, missing since April 11th. That's last Thursday. Nolanville, this is out near Austin, Texas. Ernest Anderson, 39, was at a residence on Riverside Drive with family in the early hours of Thursday morning and received a call for an Uber. He left the residence and hasn't been seen since. His mother and sister have not been able to reach him by phone. So now we're talking about a 39-year-old gentleman. He's been missing a few days longer, but this story takes a much darker turn. So far, the individual out of Chicago, Okanola, seems right now to be just missing, but this one here potentially has been met with foul play. I tried calling his phone several times. It kept leaving voicemails. Carla Anderson Paulata said, and the last time I tried, a man answered his phone and said he didn't know Ernest, that he had just purchased a cell phone SIM card. According to Anderson Paulata, her brother's bank cards were also used in several suspicious transactions. So not only is his phone not operating anymore, someone obviously has taken possession of his phone. They're actually using his bank card. So there's a really good chance that Ernest Anderson has met with foul play. Once again, just like in Chicago, the Nolanville authorities would like to hear from you if you know of this man's whereabouts. We'll give more details on that. But this is why we're talking about a tracking device. Because in this story, not only does it sound like this poor driver has met with foul play, I'm going to tell you folks right off the bat, we've covered murders where detectives have came out and stated you cannot depend on Uber or Lyft to be cooperative if something happens to you. And this story is very similar to that. We haven't been able to confirm with Uber because they won't give us access to his account. So we don't know the specific details as to the time the call came in and if he completed the call, LaRonda said. So in this case, they're trying to figure out the whereabouts or where this guy last was, and Uber is not giving them any information at all. This is why we're talking about not only having a way to track yourself in real time so that your family member can find out your whereabouts when Uber is just fucking around and not helping out anybody at all. But it also would be in your best interest to give someone you trust, perhaps, your Uber password, maybe your account password, so that they don't have to fight with the ride-sharing companies that are probably trying to defend their own liability before helping find your family member. We've covered stories like that. The companies, the first thing they do is circle the wagons and try to limit financial liability because they know lawsuits and shit like that may be coming. So they're thinking in their own best interest, not in terms of trying to help you find your missing loved one. Drivers get carjacked all the time, folks. We know that. Dozens and dozens of stories we've covered here of drivers being carjacked all over the country, particularly in areas like Chicago and down there in Texas. So it happens. The only difference here is now the driver themselves is missing. We have had drivers get kidnapped, robbed, and were later found deceased as well. Female up in Pennsylvania, mother of 4 children, pleading for her life, featured with the assailant, got in the Uber, put a pistol to her head. She was later found dead in the ditch. So it does happen. Nevertheless, closing out the story, Ernest Anderson is 6 feet, weighs 135 pounds. He was driving a 2016 black Mitsubishi Outlander with Texas license, Juliet Whiskey Golf 2606. The rear windshield wiper is broken off. If you know about his whereabouts, Nolanville police would like for you to give him a call at 254-258-5394. Now, viewers are watching my program from all over the damn country, but there may be someone in that area. So just wanted to give the information if you know any damn thing about this at all. Or perhaps maybe you've seen something that made you really threw up your intuition or gave you suspicion on Thursday of last week, April 11th. Because sometimes what happens to driver A, somebody had already attempted with driver B. And then it triggers a thought, well, you know, that guy or something happened to me and I drove off, and now you find out the guy you drove off on called another Uber and victimized the hell out of him. So if it triggers a memory, feel free to contact the Nolanville PD. So just closing the video out, do you have a way for your family members or associates to track you in real time? Not be able to look at your shit later on or whatever. If your parent or if your wife or your husband or a close associate wanted to know where you are right now, they could look at a phone or something like that, because there are apps available that can do that. And in the rare event you end up as a missing persons case, it would be very nice to know exactly where the trip went awry. If you got an Uber account and you know they're taking a person to this address, you know the streets that should be taken to go there. So if you got a tracking device, you can see right at what point they deviated from the expected route and started going somewhere else. So it would tell a lot. Also, it could tell things like where the car was last at, or at least where that person's phone is last. I mean, there's a lot of value to it. So I would suggest that this is something that all drivers consider. Not, it's not a high likelihood your ass gonna come up missing, but it's not impossible either. So I would highly advise folks to consider giving your actual whereabouts to someone in your family. There are apps you can readily do it on, and that way they know where you are at all times. Because when something kicks off, you don't always have a way of sending out a message. We covered one story where a driver was able to use his Apple Watch and summon help when the passenger took his phone. And he was able to get help, but it doesn't always work like that. Everybody don't have smart watches and all this shit. So have yourself tracked, and last but not least, someone you trust, someone you can confide in, give them your password to your account. That way, if something kicks off, you're not trying to fight with Uber or Lyft to get access to your account. That person can go into your account and cooperate with authorities to help find your ass when Uber and Lyft is only thinking about protecting what's in their bank account. It's your boy Tim. As always, feel free to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. Don't come up missing. See you in the next video.